Welcome to the RSP Boiler Room. I'm Matt Waldman with the Rookie Scouting Portfolio. We're going to take a look at some blocking by running back Scottie Phillips of Ole Miss. And we're going to look at a few of these against Alabama. And one of the things I love about watching running backs against Alabama is not only the decision-making they have to face in difficult situations as ball carriers, but also as blockers. And you're going to see here he's going to work in tandem off of this play fake towards the outside shoulder of the wingback, Dawson Knox, who's now with the Buffalo Bills. He notices that the defender worked to the inside and then that there's a cross blitz by the linebacker. Now, he doesn't pick it up right away, but he does get he's able to get his shoulder on it and do some work over here. Speaking of work, I've got some construction work going on in the background. It's going to be happening a good bit. So if you hear this in some of these podcasts, by the way, hey man, can't help it. Enjoy the construction. I've been enjoying it a lot. Anyway, here's the deal. Wing back. See the wing back blocking on the edge on the left? The defender starts to head inside. You see the cross blitz with number 30 from the inside working to the outside underneath 22 and going up that gap inside the wing back Dawson Knox. Well, first of all, you're going to see, after that, you're going to see Scottie Phillips work to the edge because he wants to account for that edge. That's his assignment primarily with the wing back. But then watch him pivot. He sees out of the corner of his eye that cross blitz coming in unblocked. And see how he pivots? He pivots, doesn't really take too many steps. He just takes one step, lifting his foot up so that he can turn his hip and then starts to run. That's a nice little pivot so that you can get at least a start here to get an angle on the defender. Quarterback gets away from the cross blitzing linebacker, and then you can see the nice job of being able to work with his hands and kind of punch upward onto the linebacker. There's a lot of good elements to this play. One is the diagnostic aspect where he understands where he's supposed to go first, what he sees as he gets there, which is reading the defender working inside of the wing back here, and also seeing the linebacker work inside unblocked, him pivoting, not trying to step up, because if he stepped up and then pivoted, he would have missed this defender altogether. But instead, he's able to turn at the hips right here. See how he quickly turns at the hips and just plants that foot and then works up and gets some contact. It's just enough contact for number 10 to work away from it. And then watch this punch here. Now, he leans a little bit too much into this punch, but he gets his hands into the chest and he's able to roll up with his hips. When you can do that, you're delivering a punch with some power. And that really takes 30 out of the play altogether. So I like this play. Even though there's some little technical things or some little things that you could critique, overall, you can see that Scottie Phillips has a decent feel for what he needs to do here. And there's economy to his movement. See how he just kind of turns there like that? If a lot of backs would have, instead of turned, would have turned and then taken a step, into the hole and then missed 30 completely. He turns all the way through, runs towards the sideline, gets that shoulder just enough, and then continues to run after the defender. I like that he continued to run after him so that he stays with it, doesn't let the defender turn the corner, and watch this punch. Uppercut, rolls the hips, and that sends the defender backward and out of the play. Really nice job there. So you're going to see a lot of people in draft circles and draft analyst circles talk about pass protection for running backs and say they just want to see a player who's willing. To me, that's not enough nowadays. You certainly see the way that the offenses are changing. These guys have to learn how to block. They already have to be showing more than just will. And this is a good example of will, but also decent technique from Scottie Phillips. You got to see that you have a twist going on here. You have 92. He's going to work to the outside. See how he works outside and underneath the linebacker, who then works inside. Phillips takes an inside-out approach, and watch him get square. He moves his feet, and see, he doesn't jump. He just kind of, again, turns his feet, gets square. That gives him the position to be able to uppercut punch right into the chest. Watch it one more time. See how he just kind of, he slides with his feet a little bit, gets square, and then delivers the punch. Now, let's look at this in a little broader perspective. This is a quick pass. Watch the quick pass. 3 steps, throw. It's out immediately. Okay. Now watch the defender's reaction against Scottie Phillips. You can see that he's not giving his full effort here at the end because as soon as he sees the quarterback begin to throw, he knows he's not going to get there, and he kind of gives up on the play and starts to turn downfield. So he gives a little bit of a shove to Phillips. So it's not like Phillips held off the best of this defensive tackle. That's not my point. My point is, are you willing to block a defensive tackle? Are you willing to square him up, slide your feet, get square again, and then deliver a punch and roll through it with your hips, even though that defender is much bigger than you and has a nice advantage in terms of strength, but you're still willing to get into the right position and deliver with the type of leverage you should, or at least as good as possible that you can given the situation. That's will to me. Will to me isn't, I'm just willing to block and get in the way. You know, there's difference between that. I want to see a guy who's willing to block, get in the way, and do it with some level of technique that gives him a chance to at least hold off the defender. Willing to do the right things to make a good block, even if you're at a physical disadvantage. To me, that's will. And that's what you see here with Scottie Phillips. So there's an invisible thread that kind of runs through a good player's game. And what I mean by a good player is someone who understands the intricacies of the game and can process information quickly and handle situations that may not be rehearsed, but be able to do it as if they were rehearsed. And part of that is being able to integrate various different things into their game in terms of what they learned athletically, how they've trained, what they know about technique, and then just being able to recognize game situations and find solutions. As my buddy Matt Caracci over at Saturday to Sunday often talks about, it is about finding solutions, and good players find solutions. And that's a broad way of looking at it, but it's a good way of looking at how you start to notice players who do a good job. I call it integrative technique. That's kind of the tool set you use to find solutions. So here we go. Scottie Phillips. Pistol to the right. You can see number 15 work across as if he's going to block this edge defender, and then you have another defender coming from the right hash to pressure the edge. Number 15 kind of misses this block. Now you can see Phillips, he works inside out. He wants to make sure that he's here to help out this edge block. And he does. He pivots again, nice pivot. So he's working inside out. And you can see again, once again, he's pivoting the hips so that they're to the sideline. He's not taking too many steps forward. He's just getting enough depth to have some separation from his quarterback. Watch him put his hand right there because he knows that he can't just block this man. He's got to help with that outside defender. That's who he's going to help out with. He's got to work inside out. So he gets a hand on there just to shield the defender enough. And then once he's done that enough, come over to the outside and then deliver at least as much of a shot as he can. And while the play isn't successful, the quarterback has to rush his throw. You can see that, Phillips is trying to help out as much as possible because 15 here blows this block. It's just not a good block. Works too far inside. Defender works outside of him. Now Phillips has 2 guys he's got to try and take care of here. And his hope is that he can get a little bit of one to stall him and then take care of that immediate opportunity. And really, either way he went, he was pretty much in a bad situation. Because if he skips the inside guy is going to hit number 10. If he just takes on number 10, takes the inside guy, then the outside guy is going to cream number 10 from the outside. So he tries to do a little bit of both. So I'm actually, I actually look at this and I feel like this was not a bad play on his part in a very difficult situation, and it's just a solution-based approach. Now, optimal solution here is maybe if he had a shot, and I don't think he did. Actually, I was going to say he might be able to try and cut out both of these guys, but he wasn't in position to do anything like that. He did the best possible thing that you could expect in this situation. One hand inside, come over to the outside, hope that number 10 threw the ball a little bit earlier and felt that pressure. Because right here, this ball needs to be coming out. And he hitches and throws and tries to, but listen. Defender in your face, ball short, fine. Still, nice effort. And some real problem solving here, even though it doesn't work out. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people, when it comes to scouting players, don't realize is it's not always about whether he did it right or did it wrong, or whether the play worked out well or it didn't work out well. Sometimes it is about that process, the journey. What was he thinking? What was he doing? How did he react to the situation? What were the solutions he was trying to come up with? And a lot of those things in this play are good. And it's kind of a symptom or underlying theme with Scottie Phillips' game is that there's a lot of little subtleties going on that he does in the moment to try and find solutions that are really positive. And that's something that I look for in players, whether they're blocking, catching, running, pass rushing. You want to see that creativity, intelligence, processing ability, quick thinking. That's there with Scottie Phillips. And he's going to cut block this outside linebacker coming off the right edge. And what I really like about this cut block is the height. See how the head is up? And he uses that sideline shoulder and kind of works right across and in to the hips. But the head is outside the hip. This is really nice height for a cut block. Some people will say it's a little too high, but I'd argue against a bigger man coming off the edge, you don't really ever want to cut below the knees. You're going to see effective cut blocks where that happens, but a lot of times defenders can leap over or they can fly over the hit and still interfere with the passing lane. But here, the quarterback should have thrown the ball at this point. That's all you expect from a cut block, is to get the man on the ground and keep him away from the quarterback in the pocket. So he did his job here. But the height, going back to that, the height to me should be at above the knee to the waist. And if you can get to the waist, especially as a smaller runner, this is a 5'8" running back. So he's fairly hefty at 211, 5'8", 211. The fact that he goes high is a good call here because he gets most of his body into the defender. He's doing it in a way where he's making first contact, and he's hitting the defender in a way where none of the joints, none of like the elbows or knees are really going to be striking Scottie Phillips when he makes this impact. He's hitting a softer part of the defender's body, and he's able to do it as the attacker, and he has his head outside the hip so that he can work through that defender in a way where he's working across and through. So working across, but why I mean by that is working from that right leg to the left leg and getting his body across the right and left legs like that, keeping his head clear of the hips, and then being able to drive. Now you're going to see what looks like him tackling the defenders. And many of you will probably notice this and say, from a literal standpoint, he probably tackled this guy. Well, you can see the left arm, that inside arm, kind of wrap around here. The outside arm, the right arm, looks like it's wrapped, but then you can see how he's hit the ground. And you can see that arm is wrapped in right here and the elbow's on the ground. He probably began the hit with that right arm kind of crooked into his chest. You see how he's leaning in like that? He's probably got that arm crooked so that he can deliver the shoulder. So he didn't wrap with the right arm. He might have wrapped with the left arm, but it's not as egregious of a call of holding or tackling here. It's really just a good hit. I think the left arm, you see a little bit more of him bracing himself onto the ground there. So it's a kind of a bang bang play. Some people might say, yeah, he tackled the guy, but I think you're going to get away with this more often than not, even if it's not taught this way, because I know there are a lot of people who have a very black and white view and literal view of everything. But as someone who watched thousands of hours of football in this kind of format of studying the game, let me just tell you that when this is going to be fairly effective. It's not something that's going to be called a lot because it's not an egregious call. So I would say from the standpoint of what's learnable? What are good insights to gain from this particular play with Scottie Phillips? If you're a smaller running back, or if you're studying smaller running backs, or if you're just studying cut blocking in general, that hit level strike is a very good one to have, because it does bring a larger defender to the ground easier and prevents them from being able to interfere with the throwing lane or the pocket. Thanks again for watching. For more RSP Boiler Room videos, you can check out my YouTube channel, Matt Waldman's RSP Film Room, and my site, www.mattwaldmanrsp.com.